Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions and Brave Kids Books, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of a new book that we have coming out through Brave Kids, and it's called Brave Kids, Short Stories to Inspire Our Future World Changers. This is the volume 2 in this series, you guys. I can't really even express to you how grateful I am to the lead author, KJ Kashula, who is the leader of this book and this kids' book community. And she is just amazing and brilliant. She's also the publishing manager behind the scenes of everything Brave Healer Productions. So, Kelly, this project is other level, girl. And I'm so grateful to you. You had such a big vision and mission for this. And our authors, especially this group today, you guys, is all over the world. We've got Australia, Switzerland, and India in the house this morning. Okay, so that's kind of crazy amazing. And let me introduce them to you next. So, Dr. Charlene Michael is the founder and creator of Wisdom Unleashed with Charlene Michael, where they guide people to achieve vibrant health and age gracefully. Join Dr. Shelley Astroff on a transformative journey through the enchanting realms of self-discovery and holistic well-being, seamlessly blending ancient wisdom and modern education to empower children with invaluable tools for a resilient, joy-filled life. And TJ Starr is with us. She spent the last 10 years traveling to 45 countries and is a local guide, creator, and facilitator, creating experiences to help clients discover who they are in their everyday lives. Holy moly, you guys are amazing. And I can't wait to talk to you about this book. So, Charlene, you're going to start the party off. Tell us about the amazing chapter that you wrote for Brave Kids.
Okay, thank you, Laura. And it's nice to be here with my colleagues on this webinar today. I wrote chapter 17. It's called Magical Times with Grandpa in His Enchanting Garden, Discovering Valuable Treasures for Life. And I wanted to write this story because I'm such a passionate gardener. And I started my gardening journey back when I was 6 years old with my grandpa in his garden. So this is essentially a short story about my experience during my summer vacations with my grandfather, where I learned about how to garden. I learned about flowers in the garden, particularly petunias and roses are my passion. And I also learned about the experience of being loved and cherished. It's something that stayed with me my entire life, and it has formed the groundwork for my gardening experience. So that's me and my story.
So I have to tell you that when I read your chapter, you flashed me back to my grandpa in his garden. And I know I've never told you this before today, but my mom's dad, Grandpa T, and I was in my mind's eye seeing him walk into the garden, and we were small. We would follow him into the rows where he had all his things, and he would gather up the tomato with the most gentle hands,
Yeah.
like this was the best prize diamond on the earth, you
Yeah.
know, to show us. And I loved that you gave me that. You know, the connections we have with our grandparents can be really amazing. What else do you want to say about that piece for you?
Yeah, just to build on what you said, my grandfather was over 6 feet tall, and I was maybe 3 feet tall. I was a little child. I'm still small, but I was a little child, and I just felt anytime I was with him, I felt so safe, and I could ask him any questions, and he was so gentle and so kind. But he was also a gardener, and his hands were rough from gardening, and I just loved to hold his hand anyway. It didn't make a difference.
And what is it about gardening for kids? Like, what's important for you, to share about that for parents or teachers or anyone who's, thinking about using gardening as a tool for kids?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, for me, the fascination was just being outside with the birds and the bees and the butterflies and all the different scents and the flowers. It was also dancing in the grass. But one of the things that really I, captured my attention was the fact that it was a place where I could connect with nature. And even as a 6 year old, I wanted to connect with nature. It was so important for me to hug that tree or sit on that garden swing or cut the roses or pinch the petunias. Just having that experience and having somebody with me showing me how to do it.
Love it. That was the case for me too. And I think there's a generation of kids that missed a little bit more of the nature connection that we had. And
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
yeah, it's going to be a problem, I believe, in some way. So now we got to get back to it, right? We got to get our hands back in the dirt and pull our kids with us into the garden. Charlene, thank you so much for being here
Pleasure.
today.
Absolute
Shelley,
pleasure.
yeah, Shelley, it's your turn. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Oh, thank you so much, Laura. It's just wonderful to be here. Well, my chapter is called Bunder and Muggermuch, a unique friendship between a monkey and a crocodile. And I collect ancient stories from India. And the thing that I love about the stories is they always have something to teach you. Either they're cautionary tales or they're inspirational tales. So last year, some incident happened that was quite disturbing to me. And I kind of didn't know how to deal with it. And there's a Panchatantra story about a monkey and a crocodile. So I took the crux of it and and I built around it and I actually worked out what was going on inside me about this friend who I was quite mad at. and and what was happening was at the beginning of the story, I just worked through it. And I have to say that one of the most valuable things about the Brave Kids group is that we were in groups. And I worked a lot with Charlene and two other people, but I also got together with TJ and I had a lot of fun with other people. And they really helped me to expand my own vision. And I expanded my vision through writing this story. So it's actually my story about my crocodile and my my monkey inside of me that grew to understand that who I am in the uniquest way that I am is absolutely fine. And whoever anyone is, just embrace it and love it. And then you have enough room for everybody else.
That's such a an amazing, big, profound life lesson, isn't it? Just small potatoes things that we're putting into these books, you guys. And I'll say really quick about that, like these aren't ordinary children's book authors, everyone. These are experts in their fields coming in to share stories with kids that are about those big life lessons and healing and learning and all of the things. And I'll ask you all a couple questions about our theme in just a few minutes. Shelley, the one thing that struck me or that kind of lingers with me about your story is about that heart piece, the heart. And I was getting a visual of the heart even as a thing outside of my body. You know, this is what's so cool about these kinds of stories is every reader is going to have an experience that's very unique, you know. But can you tell me a little bit about the inspiration for that piece of it as you were talking about the heart?
Um, so what I was seeing throughout the story was the mixing of levels. You mix the level of the physical and then which goes with the senses and the level of the emotional and the intellectual and the spiritual. So those are still things that you experience, but you don't see them because when somebody says they have a broken heart, you might not send them to a cardiologist. So I was actually playing with the levels that if you can come from a kind of crocodile personality and environment. However, you can also know that hearts, because they would eat the heart. But when you come to know that hearts can be kept safe and hearts grow, they got interested because they found that hearts grow bigger the more they're shared. And they grow way bigger than a physical heart can grow. So now you start playing with the levels and the growth in children who become very focused as a young child. They're just learning about their environment and they know this is a dog and this is a mummy and here they start to understand what love means and their heart means. So I was just playing with the level of heart that you can grow into. Your heart can be as vast as the entire universe because
Mm.
it doesn't have limits.
And I love that so much about what you did in your story, Shelley. Thank you so much for being here and putting your heart into this. Um, so TJ, you're up next. Tell us about your amazing story.
Hi everyone, it's so great to be here and with my fellow authors as well. My story is called Mira the Curious Cat Makes Her Mark. And it's really about connection to something that inspires us deep inside, to the people around us, and to the world at large. So it really is paying tribute to my early days in elementary school. And it's really a story about being inspired by what makes us come alive. And without giving too much away about the story, it's really about turning to the people that inspire us too. And this often happens for a lot of us in childhood. You know, the first initial mark we get um, of these things that make us find joy or spark our curiosity or, just make us tick in such a positive way. And we usually see that from a role model or someone we look up to. And it's so inspiring and it leaves that precious impact on us. And we tend to go back in our lives and look into it as adults. And it's really about starting young and, giving that message across that to find whatever that is at a young age, and paying tribute to that from my childhood.
You're talking about something so powerful, and I feel like this is one of the things that I could have gone back to my younger parent self and kind of shouted at myself from the rooftops and say, "You're being a model with everything you do." Everything you say, who you be, the energy you show up with, all the things that's so, so important, right? And parents are doing the best they can with what they have at the time in parenting. But what else do you want to say about that piece about modeling?
It's more than just parenting. It's there's different people that can be a model for you. It could be, a teacher. It could be a coach. It could be someone you look up to, a guide in your life. And whatever it is for you, that sticks with you through life. And you'll know right away, like you'll feel the impact and you'll look back into it in life and you'll be like, thank God I had this as an example, and I want people to remember that they can come in any different form. Um, a lot of people might not have it in their homes. So that's also something paying tribute to my childhood to go in this direction, that the character does go in, that Mia does go in. She never had this in her household, but she had this in her school environment. Someone that was leading by example to go after a lifestyle or a life that was a dream to her at that age. So
So,
just wanted to say that as well.
something that I remember from your story is, and you'll have to remind me what it is, it's about the stripes or the spots. And there was something very important about identifying with who you are as a person and a culture. Tell me more about that piece of your story.
Identity is a huge theme in the story. And having that at a young age too, we go to school, we learn a lot of things in school, but the one thing that I wish I started looking into earlier in life was identity. And, accepting the differences that made me who I am and made me unique. It's a huge message I want to drive in this chapter for kids to, be really confident in this. Like your differences are what make you stand out in the world. It's what makes you also connect with others too, when you see commonalities. And everyone is different in their own way, but we're also very much connected in other ways. So it's something that I really want to drive in this chapter.
Yes, gosh.
Embracing that.
Another profound and important topic, right? So now you guys are getting a taste of what's in this book. These are big things, and so, so important. TJ, thank you so much for being here today. So let's get into this next question. Shelley, I'm going to start with you for this one. I'm going to get you to unmute again, please. Um, so, okay, here's how I was thinking about this. One of the biggest ways we help our kids is to honor their emotions and give them space to feel. Feeling is healing, and feeling is an awareness practice. So, one way I practice awareness is through journaling. It gives me the space I need to move the thoughts onto the page and shift my energy, shift my perspective, my awareness, right? So, Shelley, what's one of your awareness practices that helps you?
Um, well, I love the journaling aspect, but and taking it outside of myself
Shelley,
when I
wait 1 second because you broke up right when you said the thing that you were talking about. You do what?
um I love the journaling, but what I do is I'll write a story
Ah,
and I like to do that. But most of the time I actually meditate. I'll just go inside and I'll watch whatever, I'll just allow my mind at the beginning to do whatever it wants. But I know that I'm the one who's watching it. So it's just like whatever thoughts come and go, they're not me. They're thoughts that come and go. So I feel like I'm just watching them, like clouds in a sky, and watching that they're they visit. I didn't invite them, and I don't have to say you go or not go. I just stay watching with who I am, and I find that I go to the space that's me always, and that's the space that's that me always in everybody, and whatever comes and goes and changes, it's going to come and go and change. So I just go with that me inside, and that never changes. And that's kind of my happy place.
wow. Did you guys just catch the mini power education on meditation we just got in the last minute and a half? Like, if y'all really let that sink in, how she's sharing her practice, this will change your life, this kind of meditation. It's life changing. And Shelley, of course, that's what you do, that's what you teach, it's what you've mastered over your entire lifetime. And so I'm just soaking it up. Thank you for that. Um, TJ, how about you? What's one of the practices you practice?
So I'm a big believer in rituals, and something that I've ritualized to help me reset and become aware of where I am in my environment is engaging in the five senses. So if I have something disrupting my thoughts, or I'm just needing a change in the environment, I'll connect to wherever I am with the touch, the taste, sense of smell, and you know the other senses as well, and just reset and go inward. And I feel that it's really nice for regulating and just getting back in tune to your inner self and just kind of almost starting as on a blank slate. So I feel that it's so good when you have very strong levels of stress or whatever it is that you're experiencing, strong emotions. It's just really nice to just regulate and go back to that. So I tend to do it whenever I can, when I'm, trying to be present, especially. So it really helps me with that.
Yeah, this is another really powerful and profound way to talk about being in the present moment and a form of meditate. I hate to use the M word because sometimes it scares people, but it is a form of meditation. The senses are a very fast way in here, grounded and centered in the place that matters, which is right now. And it's one of my go-tos as well in stress moments. So I love that you shared that one with us. I was just practicing last night, as a matter of fact. Um, just coming back into my body with the sensation of warm water on my hands. I was doing the dishes. And I was like, oh yeah, come back. What do you feel? And it was good. It is good. Like it's juicy, that technique. Um, Charlene, what about you?
Well, it's a combination of what Shelley was talking about with meditation. And the one thing that I do every morning to connect with myself is I actually do a 30-minute yoga practice. I'm a newly certified yoga 200-hour teacher. And as that, I've of course got my asanas, my postures to practice, but there's also meditation. And I also have a candle burning in the room so that I can smell the rose scented candle while I'm doing my practice. And then something that is very practical and takes very little time to do is just taking a deep breath, breathing, breath work, pranayama, as we call it in Ayurveda. And it's something that can really help center and calm your mind so quickly. And if you combine that with what TJ was talking about with sensory modulation, just imagine the effect that could have on calming a child down who's gotten so excited and overwhelmed about something and just helping them center and come back into the room.
Yes, fabulous. Of course, the breathing goes with what the other two ladies talked about. It's a part
Yeah.
of it. And I love how that ties in with TJ, which she talked about the senses, but also with what Shelley was talking about in terms of being the watcher, the observer, because I
Yeah.
observe my breath as a technique as well in terms of sensation. So it all right. So you guys are perfect. Like you're all tying it in together. These are quick techniques that even if you do three big breaths, right now, listeners, a big pelvic bowl breath, right? It brings you right here and you can feel the moment, which is a gift, of course. Oh my gosh, I could talk about that one all day long. I love that. Okay, I've got one more question for all of you. TJ, I'm going to start with you on this one. So, kind of a simple question, but not a small one. Why is it important to help our kids be brave?
I think it's really important for kids to be brave because we all have this inner knowing. And I feel like that's where bravery lies. And it's so important for kids to tune into this inner knowing and act on it, and tap into it and be brave enough to tap into it, I should say, you know, and to do that as young as possible and to really speak their minds. I think we're seeing that more now in in kids that are growing up today. People are speaking up more and they're honing in on what's true to their authenticity and developing that earlier too. So I think it's very important and this inspires people to do this.
That's huge. You're making me think of, the generation of parents who shushed their kids, right? That's not appropriate. Stop doing that. You're misbehaving, blah, blah. And I think there is a generation of, I'll call us healers for now, who have parented our kids and allowed them to feel their feelings and express them and not make them wrong for that. And gosh, just that one thing is huge. And, I remember I remember my own daughter speaking her mind. And while I managed that inside of myself, it rubbed other people in the family very wrong. And you could see people feeling triggered by her expression. And I thought, whoa, this is something we all need to work on, right? This is a big deal. Is there anything else you want to say about that, TJ?
Exactly. Like, I think as each generation goes down the line, there's going to be more of this healing that's happening. And little by little, there's going to be a monumental impact of really enlightened individuals. And it's just going to make the world a better place. And that's very important, especially with everything that's happening now in the world, for people to be really connected to themselves inward and have the tools and have the things that they need and the guides, the parents, helping them along the way. And the world will become better with this type of work. And that's why it's so important for us to share our stories.
Definitely. Thank you for that. That's a big one. We're talking about a lot of big things today. Charlene, how about you? Why is it important to you to help our kids be brave?
No, I think as a child, even as an adult, I think we all, I was also a child who was summoned, you're a girl, sit over there and be quiet and speak when I speak to you. And that didn't sit well with me, as most of the people who know me know that would never happen that way. And I think it's so important for children to feel that they have an environment, a safe space, if you will, that they can raise their questions. They can, if they don't agree with something, they can raise a question and they can challenge it and try to get a deeper understanding of why is it that way. I think it's so important for children to learn and experience that. And it doesn't happen when you get into your teens. It needs to happen when you're starting to speak, actually. So
Yes.
it's that learning, it's that experiencing, it's that questioning. I think that's a natural part of growing up. And I realize it's something we develop as we get older, but it's something that I think would help children also feel more comfortable with themselves in expressing their feelings and expressing their emotions.
Gosh, imagine how this ties into other things later in life where
Yeah,
speaking up might save their life.
yeah,
And so, if you're taught as a kid not to, or that there's bad consequences for speaking your feelings and your mind, then you become quiet for the rest of your life, avoiding the consequences, when really it's a matter of sometimes of survival, like really that big of a deal. Anything else you want to say about that?
I just think it's really important for also for parents, grandparents, also school teachers, the older people who influence our children, to give them that opportunity to speak up and not shut them down. And some children will be more dominant, the extrovert, and some children will be quieter, the introvert. Um, Depending on the environment, we can all feel comfortable in that if we feel safe to speak up, won't get hurt, won't get punished, won't get laughed at, because that's a hard thing also for kids.
Yes, it is. Gosh, the stories of humiliation are kind of the worst ones that hit my heart when it's like
Yeah,
we've all had a moment in school where it was that feeling of shame or whatever it was. And gosh, we carry those to our grave, I think
yeah,
sometimes,
yeah,
right? There's some
yeah,
deep healing there.
yeah.
Um, all right. So, Shelley, you're going to wrap us up today with this one. Why is it important to help our kids be brave?
I think bravery, that sense of courage from within, is I think it's just essential for a child to grow up and to know that who they are is already okay. They came just perfectly. And I think that what has to be known is that who they are and what they do are not the same thing. That when a child is, say, writing out their alphabet and they go, oh, I made a mistake, they have handwriting may be a mistake, but they're not mistaken. They have to know that who they are is already perfect and unique. And it's that separating out, it's that unmixing and then remixing of the levels that you're already fine, because when you are told that you're not good, then you think that your whole being is not good. Like your heart gets heavy and your body goes slumped. But if you did something that wasn't good, then that's different, that you're good, but your activity can be adjusted. And they're absolutely, those things can be separated out. Because when you think about, if you hear something you don't want to hear, you don't blame your ears. And if you see something that you don't want to see, you don't say, my eyes are all bad. So you have to also know that you're always perfect and wonderful, but there are things that can be adjusted, but the perfection doesn't change. Just the the behaviors can change, but it doesn't mean that who you are is bad or wrong. And I think that's where we need to come from, is from our own perfection. And then the rest, we're all perfect and wonderful. And when you come from there, then all you actually want to do is be one with whoever you see. And that's where the love comes from, because that love and that connection and that sense of oneness, that's everywhere. And that can be connected through courage. That takes a lot of courage.
It does take a lot of courage, and what a wonderful way to wrap up the idea of this book and what you all have done in this book is poured your hearts and souls onto these pages, into these stories, keeping the kids in mind and all of the things that they're going through. Shelley, TJ, Charlene, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thank you for being here today to share it. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the opportunity, Laura.
So, if you can't already tell, this book is a fantastic, amazing masterpiece, y'all. And we're going to be celebrating in lots of different ways coming up. Again, this is the second book in the Brave Kids series. Remember, you can join us for our live stream book launch party. We're going to have that on March 8th at 12 noon Eastern, and I'll gather with all of the authors of Brave Kids Volume 2. We'll be doing some fun introductions, and you're going to be inspired. We'll be dropping some wisdom bombs like we did today for you. So I've got some information down below about the party. And if you happen to be listening to this interview anytime around that date, it just means that you can hop over to Amazon and grab the copy sometime after the beginning of March there. And we can't wait to hear how you all enjoyed the book. Maybe you guys are a wellness practitioner who's ready to share your brave words in one of our upcoming book projects. Please find more at bravehealer.com. And lastly, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.